Well, hello and welcome back to part 2 of today's video. So, what took so long was, long story short, I couldn't actually find my 100 million copies of Windows 10 to go, so I made a new copy with all the latest updates this time around. Well, when I finally tear this place apart, I'm going to find all those. Obviously, some of those flash drives are hiding cracks and crevices in between the shelves and the floor. There might even be some down in the basement that fell through the cracks. Oh well. So, what's going to happen next is there's actually somebody that emailed me, where did you find that Pavilion monitor? Well, actually, an interesting story how I got that was I got that from my aunt, actually my great aunt down in Milwaukee. I guess she was going from a desktop to a laptop, and she didn't want the screen anymore, and she thought I might want it. And actually, I've gotten a lot of use out of it since what I like about it is it sits on a stand, and you can raise it different heights and flip it around. And a lot of times when I'm working with customers, I will have them, I can use that screen, flip it around so that I can demonstrate stuff to them. So it actually, I get a lot of use out of it. It's old, it's dated, but it's new. It works well enough with just about every application. So by all means, we're going to go ahead and jump in and get the show rolling here. So I got my flash drive ready, and we will get these extension cords out of here. So this computer that we're going to set up is an HP Compaq Pro 6305. This is a AMD version. It's no different than what we have worked with before. Other than it features the AMD A6 dual-core processor. It's currently, when it was new back in the day, get my floor clean machine out of the way. Oops. Yeah. And I just turned the monitor off. There we go. So this computer, this damn cover, I sort of warped it when I dropped it. All right. So this is the original image of Windows 7, factory image. So we will go ahead and run Windows to go. I hope this works as well as I had a problem with it previously on small form factor PCs, but the beauty of where I work, not this job so much my other job, and the relationship I have with my clients, not only I get keys to the building, so even if they're not there, I can always just go in, set the PC up, and get everything. Yes, we're gonna go ahead and initiate. So we're gonna check for updates. Do I really want to stick Windows 10 on this? Is a genuine Windows 7 PC? No, but I need it for the time being until I get one of those PCs up on the shelf configured. So this will take some time. And of course, it will be backwards on the screen. And unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do about it. So we'll just make do with the current setup that we have. So I'll kind of go do a brief history of this computer. Back in 2014, the office that this computer was originally in, they were using MPC Client Pro 365 with 4 gigs of RAM. That was DDR2 for the time. I still got those computers yet. I use them at my house as music and vintage XP gaming computers. It's just I like the nostalgic of those older computers. And then previous to that, they had Celeron Compaq Presario from 2003, and even though those PCs served their time and they got their money out of them, in 2014, Windows XP was about to pull the plug on the operating system. So I made the decision of upgrading to Windows 7. Everybody else just wanted to bury their heads in their rears. You just keep using stuff that was kind of out of date. And it took a lot of convincing. So I came up with a clever way and told them that everything went to pot. And then they said, "Oh, I guess we got to do something then." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do something." So found that PC for only $498. That was a closeout, because that was when HP, at that time, when they were redesigning the cases, not really that much, but they put the next generation of desktop PCs in the business class were Pro desks and Elite desks, and that was a closeout of the 6305 was or was they had A4s available at that time. They had A6 and they had A8s. I went with the A6. It originally had 4 gigs of DDR3. I believe it was clocked at 10, or it was 10600 memory modules. And HP at that time used Samsung branded memory. And actually, Samsung branded memory is quite decent. I've only had one computer that both the 2 Samsung memory modules failed. That was about the only trouble I ever had with Samsung memory modules. But other than that, they're pretty good. I don't really have much complaints with the Samsung branded memory, but in recent months, I buy more Crucial memory now than I do Samsung. But long story short, I had a customer set me on the straight and narrow about that Crucial was the way to go. And actually, he was 100% right, because when you go to Crucial's website, you actually get a better guaranteed match than you do with some of the other. I'm not putting all the other memory brands down like Hynix or Samsung or some of the other brands like Corsair, but Crucial, I believe it's a knockoff of Samsung, but the manufacturer will take it back, or take some of the, depends on the series of RAM that you buy. A lot of times they'll take it 30 to 90 days after you buy it. They got a better warranty than most other companies. So that's kind of another reason why I steer towards. Everybody has their own preferences as far as memory and even hard drives. There's some people that like Seagates, and there's some that like Western Digital. I would have to say, as far as mechanical drives, I would go 50-50. Western Digital makes a good drive in my opinion, and Seagate makes a good drive in my opinion. And some people complain, well, how come they don't last that long? Well, most hard drives, engineer specs, in timing wise, a lot of them are only guaranteed up to about 20,000 hours. And most people think 20,000 hours is a long time, but in today's day and age, most of us leave our computers on sleep mode. So technically, the hard disk never really fully shuts down. It runs continuously. And there was one guy that brought a laptop in about a week or so ago. No, that was actually a couple days ago. I got somebody that come through here. It's hard to keep track of who's who and what's what. It just seems like business has been picking up since January, which that's actually good. Even though that I'm going to be vacating on the 15th of May. But I'm just glad I'm getting a following of good customers, and I'm grateful for that. I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to be doing this kind of work. So we'll get back to topic on the computers. So and actually AMD, it's not so popular in business end of things, but more, a lot of gamers are starting to switch to using Ryzen Core 5s and Ryzen Core 7s. I actually built a Ryzen Core 5 system for a customer back in January, and that was actually fun, putting them together. I don't get a lot of orders for custom builds, but anybody that wants one, I usually take those jobs on. It's, in a way, it's like an art. It's like some people are crafty with painting and making crafts, and in a way, computer building is like an art in itself, because you can find some pretty nifty looking cases. You can put RGB lighting in there. The thing is, I don't really, people that inquire about tinkering on RGB specifically, and I don't normally do a lot with RGB because it's not really, it's more of a hobbyist aspect. I'm more in the business of making money, so that's why I don't normally try to get carried away with custom builds. I try to, when I build a custom build for somebody, I try to match the computer to their specific needs. I don't try to oversell. It's like I was saying in a little stream I did a little earlier this afternoon. I try to make a computer for somebody that's not going to break the bank, and something that they feel good with using, something that they feel that they're getting a good value, and they're not. And most of people, especially older people, a lot of times they just want to go on the internet and surf the web and watch YouTube videos, and they're not going to be doing CAD work or playing games. Not technically advanced games anyway. Not like Farming Simulator or Fortnite or World of Warcraft or whatever's popular in this day and age. You would think for a younger guy that I'd keep up with all the games and what's new and what's in and out, but in the IT world, you don't get a lot of customers requesting to know that specific kind of information. So I don't keep up with that. I just keep up with the computer end of things. And most people, they don't want to buy souped up computers to begin with. They just want something that works, something that they can just push power button in the morning. They don't care what kind of hardware is running or what's underneath the hood of it, as some people say. They just want something that works. And that's pretty much what I'm in the business of selling, is reasonable PCs at reasonable prices and doing reasonable amount of work. And then there's sometimes that there's people that when they bring old PCs in, like Windows Vista era or the beginning of Windows 7 era, that have major problems like video graphics glitching out or screen doing goofy and unthinkable things, or memory modules having problems, or just very performance problems, then they sit there and waste time trying to fix the board. It's not worth saving some of those PCs. Some of those PCs are just throwaways. And logically, to save time and to save money, it's just cheaper to throw them away than it is to try to buy replacement boards. And chances are what I'd be selling the customer would be 5 times better than what they brought in to begin with. It's like if somebody brought in a Celeron computer, chances are I would send them out the door with a Core i3 or an AMD A4 processor computer. And the other question that comes up a lot is, would you sell somebody something with a Celeron? Absolutely not. Because when the person brings it home and they start using it, sure, when you first get it, it's semi alright. It's no thrills PC to begin with, but when you start getting on the web and you start using it after a while, it slows down. You load it with cache files and cookies, and even if you put an SSD in there, it's still gonna lag. And if somebody absolutely positively wants one and they just sit and beg over and over, eventually I'll just give in and say sure, but you're not going to be happy with it in the long run. But even at minimum, I'm getting away from the i3s even. Because i5 is pretty much eventually going to become the i3. And what I mean by that is, as majority of you know, that i9 is out there. Basically, i9 is the new i7. And I have not personally touched anything with an i9 in it yet, but I hear the performance speed of an i9 is better than the i7. Maybe eventually I'll buy an i9, but better to let Intel work the bugs out of it first before moving forward with. And personally, I think the i7 is still a decent processor at this time. I have no complaints about it. Maybe before I go to an i9, I'd probably try the buy Ryzen Core 7. Let's see where Windows is at right now. Close these pop-ups out. Close. Accept. And if anybody wants to know what the model number of the monitor is, it's an HP Pavilion F1903. And yes, it does also feature DVI display capabilities. So that's currently where we're at right now. So we got a little ways to wait. See if there's anything new coming out as far as HP. Interesting. What do they got for PCs? Business desktops. Let's look at pro desktops. See what the current lineup of what they have. So they have over 7 different categories to pick from. They got the Pro Desk Mini 600, which is basically a micro tower. And what's really nice about those systems, you can mount them to the back of your LED monitor, and out of sight, out of mind. No big oxy looking boxes. Huh. Interesting. There's quite a few on back order. Either they're all on back order or they're out of stock. So it must be. So they got the Pro 600, the Pro Desk 600 G5, currently out of stock. You can get it with the Core i7, 8 gigs of RAM, DDR3. No, actually, DDR4 is the current memory that they're using. Well, the price is kind of outrageous for being a leftover model. So let's see what they got for as far as small form factors. So for Generation 5, the thing I don't like about the small form factors, one knock against it is they got a limited power supply, and your expansion cards that you put in there, sometimes they don't always fit in there properly the way that they're supposed to. You know that a lot of times that the manufacturer will include 2 brackets, one for a full mid-sized case and a small form factor. Sometimes you have a hard time finding cards that actually fit in there. So that can be a problem sometimes, but as far as space-wise, they don't use a lot of space. Let's see what we can customize here as far as, see what kind of options that they offer. 10 Pro included in price. So let's see what you get for processors. So for $262, I can upgrade to the Core i7, and I'll upgrade to the 210 watt power supply, and sure, why not? Intel Octane memory, 16 gigs. So you can go up to 128 gigs of memory with that computer. So that's pretty cool. But in this day and age, that is actually reasonable. Real-time data backup, no, that's not something I would actually use. But as far as internal memory, you can go with, I would definitely go with the 2 terabytes, 72,000 RPM, which stands for revolutionaries per minute. And why not get a graphics card? So there's a small form factor, 4 gig GDDR5. which has the AMD Radeon X550. So Intel Pro technology upgrade. It's actually a feature that you can get some decent use out of. So all the unnecessary accessories and options that I've gotten for $2,620 so far. You can get a display port. You can get an HDMI port, or you can have an additional serial port or a VGA port or a USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 port. And for kicks, you can get a media card reader. You can also get yourself a Blu-ray writer if you want. And you can also get yourself a DisplayPort cable. But wait, you can't buy both? Apparently not. And you can also pick your keyboards. Why not just go with the most expensive option? Most of that we don't need. 5-year on-site support. So, not bad. $2,834 with all the latest and greatest hardware that you could ever want. And you're never gonna peg the computer in memory performance. You could probably have like at least 100,000 Chrome tablets open or tabs open at once and still not lag the PC. That makes partial sense. All right. So let's kind of back up here for a second and let's take a look and see what else they have to offer. So here's their micro tower. And you can let's go to customize and buy. Actually, I got a micro tower here myself that I picked up. That was last year. And it's one I use around the office quite a bit. Oh, I better wake them all up. So we're currently at 66%. So that's not the worst. Oh, we're at 83%. That's not bad. Wow. So we're moving along here. So currently the status that we're going through right now is we're putting Windows 10 using the Windows to Go or Windows to Go feature. And basically what it does is it already uses OEM license keys from Windows 7. And whatever, cool thing about this program is whatever version of Windows you're running, it'll match up to whatever, or 10 will match up to what you're using on 7. So if you got 7 Home Premium, it'll put 10 Pro. No, I'm sorry. I mean 10 Home. But if you got Windows 7 Professional, it'll put 10 Professional. Unfortunately, those users that had like Windows 7 Ultimate or you would get downgraded to Windows 10 Pro. But in volumized licensing, there's Windows 10 Enterprise Edition, and then there's also Windows 10 for Education. But you have to be a license or volumized license customer in order to take advantage of that. And I believe per license, it's about $199. I know for Windows 7 back in the day, that was about $199 per license agreement and the volumized. But with Windows 10, they may have gone up since 2015 or 2014. As long story short, when I was in high school, I hung around the IT department, and I had to say I learned quite a bit from hanging around there and kind of being involved in that. It was much more interesting than hanging around with a bunch of punk kids and those that were troublemakers. And when you hang around with teachers and IT staff and maintenance people and that, your reputation level is a lot better than those that were causing trouble or being rebels. Or it's better not to be seen or heard, just to exist in that setting, if you get my drift. So as far as desktops, even the pricing back in the day hasn't really skyrocketed as much, even though people think $2,480 to them is a lot of money. But even 5 years ago, some of those prices stay consistent. It's like back in the day with, you bought a computer back in like 1995 and spent like close to $3,000 for a system. My grandparents had one that they bought back in the day. That was I think it was either a Gateway or a Quantex by Microsystem, or maybe it was a Packard Bell. I don't remember offhand what they had, but they spent a little over $3,000. But all the stuff that they got with it, like they got a pair of LTEC lensing, subwoofer, and speaker combination. So it was like $100 and some alone. They got like a 16 or 17 inch CRT monitor. It wasn't the cheap 15-inch model. I believe it had either 24 megabytes of RAM or 32 megabytes of DDR1 memory modules. And it had like a 15 gig hard drive for the time. No, wait, it had to be like a 5 or 6, because Windows 95 I don't think would work on anything higher than a 6 gig drive. I could be wrong. Okay, we are ready to move on here. And now we get to watch Windows 10 work miraculously. I tried doing a video like this about a year ago at my office down the street, and it was a complete utter failure. And here, try this video again, and it is working successfully. Maybe I've done this several times on video. I don't remember if I did or didn't. I should keep better notes of what content I made, but that's all right. You guys can watch it anyway. There's been new subscribers since I've done some of those, but so far everything's going smoothly here. We haven't had too many meltdowns or complications or hiccups. The only part that kind of slowed me down in time was when you're trying to render images using a workstation from about a decade ago. That was Windows 7 era technology. But other than that, things seem to be moving along at a decent pace. So hopefully it'll pick up in speed. If I had a solid state in there, then more than likely I would be able to move things along. But I don't really feel like putting a solid state in there, because I'm just going to be using it as a loaner machine. So once we get done with this PC, because I got to run it over to the establishment, and then I'm gonna go run another errand, and then we'll be back here. So I'll go we're up to 30-some%, I think. It's kind of hard to read from back here, but oh well. Let's see what they got as far as see what they're charging for AMD versions of this. So you can either buy the, let's customize this and see what you can get. You can either get the Silver Pro Athlon. I have the Athlon Silver Pro, 3.4 gigahertz, 2 cores with Radeon graphics. You can get an Athlon Gold Pro. You can get Rhythm 3 Pro with Vega 8 graphics. Rhythm 3 with Radeon graphics. Rhythm 5 at 3.3 gigahertz. Rhythm 5 Pro with 4 cores at 4 gigahertz. You can get Rhythm 5 at 4.2. Last but not least, you can, for $437, you can get Rhythm 7. So $695 is not too bad so far. And well, let's go with 64 gigs of memory. So we got about $1,200. You get Ryzen Core 7, the 64 gigs of RAM, and for $1,700, you can get yourself 64 gigs, 2 terabytes of solid state, and a 35-watt SATA cage. You're getting a lot. For that micro tower, you're getting a lot for your money. But who in their right mind would want 64 gigs of RAM? I would take 64 gigs, even though it's an overkill, for one. And I find even the last computer I purchased was with 16 gigs. And I find that 16 gigs is just enough for what I'm doing. Previously, I was used to having 8 gigs, but I find even 8 gigs is kind of underpowered for a lot of the applications. The only computer I own that has more than 16 gigs is a workstation laptop that I put 32 gigs into. And I don't get a terrible amount of use out of it, but it does serve the purpose. And eventually, once I get everything straightened out on it, Windows-wise, I gotta get a new copy of Windows 10 for it, because the person that sold it to me couldn't do a proper job of putting a decent activation code in there. So it's a non-genuine copy, and I'm not gonna name who the person was. And the person that everybody's thinking of is not the person. This is a totally different related person, like 5 towns, actually 7 towns, or 2 counties over. Still friends with the guy, but I just can't believe that he would do that. But basically, the computer works for the most part. I'm able to. A lot of times, I use that laptop for doing Zoom calls with certain customers that don't feel comfortable coming here because of the scamdemic. So I try to accommodate everybody. So basically, that use of that machine is I got an external webcam that I just plug in there for better video quality, and then I got a Blue Yeti mic that I use for when I'm doing those calls. So I sound more crystal clear, and I don't sound all blotchy and all catawonkus. And even when I do YouTube live videos, I use the Blue mic, and I notice that the audio quality is a little bit better. So, and Windows is just sitting there putzing along. So enough of computers from ProDesk. See what they got as far as cloud computing. Yeah, I gotta wake up the computer. I should just have a wireless mouse hooked up for this application, but basically while the live stream is going, while everybody's watching this, I got like 5 other projects that I'm finishing up and at the same time in various parts of this room. So sometimes you gotta multitask. And most of the time, it's easy enough to multitask like that. So basically, I would say we're about probably 40% into the conversion from migrating from 7 over to 10. All right. Okay. All right. You just have to look something up for a customer. Somebody's just inquiring about an LED monitor. When it comes to monitors and then usually majority of it doesn't matter what you buy. It just depends on what you're going to be using it for. Personally, I like to get more modern monitors here in the office for myself, but I'm satisfied with using the LCD monitors from a decade ago. It's personally, I like Dell LCD monitors Some of them I've been using for about the last 10 years, certain models, and I have never had any problems with them. And even I've only had one HP monitor go out on me. The only other brand of monitors that I've never had any luck with were LG computer monitors. I'm not trying to bash them, but it just seems like everyone I come across after about a month of using them, either they start flickering or they just start, I don't know if they're just the power supply boards corrode or if the caps start leaking or what the. Usually most of the time when I tear them apart, a lot of times the caps corrode and they start leaking acid all over. There is a YouTuber called UXW Bill, where he'll actually tear apart monitors and he'll actually fix. The guy does a lot of vintage computer, modern stuff. He does car stuff, cooking stuff, HVAC related stuff. He's got a lot of good content on there. Actually, I got a lot of respect for the guy, even though he doesn't really do much YouTube videos anymore. But you gotta look at it this way: the guy's busy. I think he's got not two full time, but I think he's got a full-time job that he holds down, and then YouTube is a side project. Plus, I think he also does consulting on the side yet, so doesn't leave much time for creative videos. And then another YouTuber I watch is Billy Coor. I think that's how you pronounce it. The guy's from out of North or South Carolina, or UXW Bill's from out of Illinois. And basically, another good one is VOS Life. A lot of his content is pretty good. A lot of his stuff is more on the lines of pretty much generally all electronics. And then Kerry Hoseman is another good YouTuber. He's from out of Arizona. He does a lot of custom builds, tech vet shows, and a lot of other general content and videos. So you should check him out sometime. He's got a lot of good stuff. And then there's Brandon Bischoff PC from out of New Hampshire. I like the style of videos that he does with the vintage computers, modern stuff, and some of his car stuff and house repair. Each YouTuber has their own style of doing videos, and if I had more time and more creativity, I'd go back to making scripted videos, but eventually I will get back to doing things the way I started out doing it. But for the time being, this format and style of the way I'm doing it just works. So I'm just going to stick with it until later on. Probably this winter. So there was kind of give a quick status update on hunting of a place. I can come up with enough collateral to buy a certain property, which I do not have the collateral or the funds to even think about doing a down payment. But there's a property here in town that somebody passed away, that the building would be ideal for running a little office out. Plus, it's got a parking area, and the building is handicap accessible. It's got a handicap ramp on the side. It's got 88 doors. Not ones where you push with a button, but they're 36 inches wide, so you could get a wheelchair in and out the door. And the entrance is wide enough, and all the doors are on the inside are wide enough that the only thing I would have to do with it is just rig up an exit light and put a fire extinguisher inside. But I'm handy enough that I can wire one in and screw an extinguisher to the wall. So let's shake this again. We're at 68% in this portion of the video. Okay, 72%. Not bad. Making progress. Either that or there's another property for rent that'll be available after the 1st of 2022. I'm not going to tell you what building it is or what address it's located at, but it's kind of a historic land, not really a historic land site, but it was a storefront type property. And no, it's not the room I'm sitting in right now or the building I'm sitting in. This is a different property up the street that they're going to pretty much just gut everything from the inside and just start over and do a bunch of major work to the outside. But as far as the rent, I'm kind of nervous on what they're going to charge, because the reason that my rates are so low as they are right now is because the rent that I'm currently paying, and I'm not going to disclose what amount. A lot of my prices are factored around how much the rent is, and if I got to pay more rent, then my prices have to go up just to compensate, and it kind of scares me. So, and that's what's happening here, is the rent is going to be going up, and that there's a new person coming in. So I have to vacate pretty quick. So regardless, the place I'm going to be working from for the time being is an undisclosed location. I'm not going to make that public, but I will be doing videos from that undisclosed location that I'll still be doing, but I'm not going to have any customers actually meet me there. I will travel. I'll be doing more traveling instead. I do quite a bit of traveling for my employment now. Not for the church so much, but more for the computer business. We're at 80%. So that's not too bad. Okay. Well, actually, theoretically, I went to go get gas today at the gas station for my van, and that was about $55 it cost to fill the tank. And my van doesn't use premium. I only put unleaded in there, or 87 octane, and that was $55. And I was thinking, damn, that's almost makes you want to go out and buy a diesel Volkswagen. That gets about 50, 60 miles a gallon. Gas is going up. It's almost 270 a gallon right now in my area, and usually once a week I got to fill up, and I get about 27 miles a gallon with my vehicle. And at $55 to fill it up, that's a lot of money. I'm just glad I don't have a truck that I'm using right now as a daily driver. It almost makes you want to go out and buy another Neon. The things are kind of cramped and small, but I'll just have to do more highway mile or interstate driving to get to more places. I gotta go to Sheboygan or Green Bay or something. Yeah, I can just jump on the interstate. If I gotta go towards Appleton, I use a lot more back roads to get there. So that's okay. We're pretty much. Says your PC will restart in a few moments. Oh, good. We're moving along here then. So far, everything is working out just well. And actually, even ViewSonic monitors are not the worst. The only ones I'm not satisfied with were the ones. There was one that a IT administrator bought when I was in school. That was really chaotic. It was kind of a headache to look at. There's no way I'm going to get there in the nick of time before they close for the night. Some places closed on Mondays. See what they got in. All right. I think we're okay. So obviously Windows 10 to go worked, because otherwise it would just be sitting back, or it came up with an error saying that it hiccuped, and obviously it didn't. So we're very happy in that retrospect. Excellent. Excelente. That is a good sign. So, and yes, I have not gotten around to putting a new battery in the smoke alarm yet, but we'll do that once I move all the furniture out of here. All right. It looks like you started the upgrade booted. If you want to continue with the upgrade, remove the media. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You gotta. Windows tends to get funny about having flash drives in there. Loading files. All right. So this is it's not bad. It only took an hour. Okay, so 2 hours and 14 minutes we got into this project so far. So far, so good. All right. Let's see. Oh, we're only at 9%. This is getting awfully boring, I know it, but once we get past the update portion, and also the other factor is I'm using up most of the bandwidth just streaming this video, so that's why the updates are going a lot slower. Plus, that computer is only running on a 100 megabit Linksys switch at the moment. All right, I guess we're back on there. Sorry about that. It's just the bandwidth is so, well, how do you put it? Being used up as we speak. So that's kind of why things are a little laggy as far as updates. Yeah, just as I thought. Plus, the security cameras in here also rely on bandwidth from the internet to run. So Actually, another brand of LCD LED monitors is V7, and Planner also makes a decent monitor. I've used those in the past, and they're not really much of a disappointment either. So for practical monitors, those brands are decent. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. Only at 14%. I've been going since about 6 o'clock this morning. I'm almost ready to call it a night. Probably gotta get this job done first before. But I don't think we're gonna continue part 2 tonight anymore. I think we're only gonna. We'll start part 2 tomorrow. Cause I gotta go deep clean some carpets yet. Over at my other place of employment. That's always fun and exciting. So let's see. Not to change the subject here, but anybody ever run across Pencraft tools anymore? Not to drag everybody away from computers and that, but you don't see many of JC's Penney's branded tool sets anymore, or even Montgomery Ward's branded stuff. I think that stuff's kind of fascinating. All of antique tools and some JC's Penney wrenches and a couple of JC's Penney's branded screwdrivers in my toolbox here that I use. I got some Montgomery Ward's stuff, but not. Seems like the old Williams and Power Master and branded wrenches and stuff from years ago. It's like my grandpa was saying when he worked at the compaq. Most of the tools that he bought were Craftsman when he was working there. But he was saying that any guys that bought Montgomery Wards or pen craft stuff, they're laughing stock. But honestly, I don't really have a problem with pen craft or power craft stuff from. I'm a Sears fanatic, but I don't really have a problem with pen craft or power craft stuff. It's still part of history. A lot of department stores back in the days had their own brand of tools. Target, they had their own house brand of tools. There's not many of the Target brand stuff floating around, but it is kind of interesting. It's because you can't play background music on YouTube without being terminated. It's kind of too quiet in here now, but with YouTube, you can't have any unapproved audio or music. Or usually, music makes things around here kind of move along at a faster pace. But it is what it is. We don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube Mafia, so let's just kind of keep things on the quiet aspect. And back when JC's Penney used to be a full-blown department store, you could buy lawnmowers there, you could buy tools, houseware, appliances, you name it. It was just like Sears and Kmart and Montgomery Wards. But a lot of retail businesses like Sears and Kmart are dying out. Shopko was already pretty much out of the picture. Cops was out of the picture. That was a department store. Then there used to be a lot of oddball department stores, mom and pop ones that have disappeared. So it's kind of sad, but today's day and age, everybody shops on the internet, and so that kind of puts a damper on brick and mortar buildings. Let's see how. Only 17%. We're gonna be here for a while yet. I may even end the stream on an earlier note, because I got other stuff I want to do. But I'm kind of tying up this machine at the moment, so I'm sure everybody watching probably has other YouTube stuff they want to watch. So don't worry, we will continue this. We'll just pick up once we're on the other side. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, that tuned in, and those of you that have waited out this long. I hope you enjoyed today's content that we had to offer. So God bless everybody. Take care, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow then.